Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the council meeting. In the absence of the provost and the deputy provost, the first thing to do today is appoint a convener for the meeting. And I'm going to pass over to Mr. Moody to take us through that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Executive. And I think our normal process in this is we'll take the adherent first so that we know exactly who's at the meeting and then move on to the appointment of the chair of the meeting. So, as you've already said, Chief Executive, we have apologies from the Provost and the Deputy Provost. Councillor Aitchison.
Here.
Councillor Aitken.
Here.
Councillor Anslow.
Present.
Apologies from Councillor Binney. Councillor Bowes.
Yep.
Apologies from Councillor Brown and Bailey Buchanan. Councillor Bundy.
Here.
Councillor Colley.
Yeah.
Councillor Deacon.
Here.
Councillor Devine.
Isn't.
Councillor Flynn.
Here.
Councillor Forrest.
Present.
Councillor Garner.
Here.
Councillor Hannah.
Present.
Councillor Kelly.
Here.
Bailey Kerr.
Present.
Councillor McCabe.
Here.
Councillor Meiklejohn.
Present.
Councillor Murtagh.
And short.
Councillor Nimmo.
Present.
Councillor Patterson.
Present.
Councillor Patrick.
Present.
Councillor Redmond. Apologies from Councillor Ritchie and from Councillor Robertson. Councillor Sinclair.
Here.
Councillor Spears.
Present.
Thank you. And our normal course of action has been simply to seek nominations from the floor in this circumstance. So I'll ask for nominations for anyone to take the chair. Councillor Meiklejohn.
As has happened in the past, I would nominate Bailey Kerr.
Thank you. Any other nominations? In the absence of any other nominations, I invite Bailey Kerr to take the chair.
He didn't squeak loud
Possibly,
enough.
but no, I'll hold it now.
Okay, colleagues, thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item 2, the declarations of interest. Members should declare any financial or non-financial interest they have in any item of business at the meeting, identifying the relevant agenda item and nature of interest. Is there any items of interest, declarations of interest? Sorry. No. Thank you. Move on to agenda item 3, the minutes. The minute of Falkirk Council held on the 12th of December 2024, item A. Do we have agreements? Thank you. Item B, minute of the council meeting on the 30th of January 2025. Agreements?
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you. Item C, special meeting of the Falkirk Council on the 30th of January 2025.
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you. D, special meeting of the council on the 13th of February 2025.
Agreed. Agreed.
E, Falkirk Council meeting held on the 6th of March 2025.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone. And we're going to agenda item 4, the rolling action log. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Convener. And as usual, the rolling action log provides information on the decisions of Council where those have called for further reports and gives a current status of when that report is due and what its current situation is in terms of progress. There is one item to draw to your attention in relation to the rolling action log, that there should be an additional item on it which derives from the special meeting of the council held on the 13th of February, which did in fact call for a further report, which will be due in June. So that updated rolling action log is noted within the council systems. The report is on track, it's in preparation and will be available at your June meeting as expected. So nothing is lost from the fact that it slipped off the rolling action log on this occasion.
Thank you, Mr Moody. Is there, just before I go to any questions, I was remiss of me to not to mention if colleagues can make sure that their mobile phones is silent or switched off if possible. If people need to have their phones on for a particular situation, that's fine. Today's papers were issued on the 12th of February and hard copies were put in people on the 13th of February. I'm hoping that the agenda is light today. There's no motions or amendments, so with your cooperation, hope to get through the business as quick as possible. With regards to the sound system that was mentioned at previous meetings, I think listening to this morning, it's been fixed. They've moved the speakers from there to the back. So hopefully we won't get the situations we've had in previous meetings. And I just hope that it lasts. And usual meeting, if anyone wishes to talk, if you put your light on or hand up online, take your name and we'll go the list of the names of people who were up saying. So thank you very much. Agenda item, oh sorry, questions on the rolling action log.
Convener said to put your light on, so I have carried out due diligence the recommendation. The sound has improved. The resighting of the cameras has improved. Why did it take us 2 years to carry that out?
I don't know, Councillor Spears, Mr Moody.
I think there's been a number of changes with the system over the 2 years it's been in here. So the speakers were installed not at the beginning of our use of this room, but over last summer. So there's been some trial and error as to the best placement of the additional speakers. So I think, as the convener observes, current placement seems to be working reasonably well. So we'll hope that that lasts. But if we need to change it, we will change it. So there have been observations by members over a number of meetings that the sound has been poorer in some areas of the room than others, and that's led to the resighting of the speakers on I think more than one occasion. So the current version seems to be working well.
Can I ask if there's any movement on the earphones to use on the present equipment? Or is that going to take another 2 years?
If the sound system, I think, is working well with the speakers as currently placed, then I'm not sure that the earphones necessarily be needed, but I think we're happy to look at that specifically for you, Councillor Spears.
I love that phrase, happy to look at it, but will it take another 2 years?
No.
Thank you, Councillor Spears. Thank you, Mr Moody, for your advice. Councillor Nimmo.
Yeah, thanks, Bailey Kerr. On the same subject, I take it this is just a temporary fix and that we're still looking at the prospect of getting a new sound system.
Broadly, yes. And the sound system is old. It's towards the end of its working life. So yes, I think we are looking at what a new sound system would cost and funding sources for.
Thanks, Councillor Nimmo. Is there any questions on the rolling action log? No questions. Move on. Agenda item 5, Treasury Management Strategy. Mrs. Templeman. Sorry.
I think we go to questions.
Questions.
first.
Any questions on the Treasury Management? As there is no motion or amendment, there'll be no debate. So if there's any questions for the Treasury Management.
Daily Chair. Could
Cool.
I ask Mrs. Templeman just about the levels of uncertainty around the current financial market in relation to some of the decisions and policy initiatives that have come forward? Some of them will be very new. I appreciate that, and therefore we may not know the full implications. But is there some intelligence around the direction of travel over the next couple of years?
Thank you. I think obviously we had the spring statement yesterday, and I've not seen an obvious sort of reaction from the markets through the sort of particularly this morning in terms of interest rates and things like that. I think generally what the markets are looking for is some level of comfort that there is a plan and that there isn't a kind of unfunded spending planned, and that there's a kind of, you know, similar to ourselves, that there's an action plan to try and get the UK economy into a more sustainable footing. And the markets will make a decision on that, and they will price their interest rates accordingly. What normally happens is that our Treasury advisors will review after any significant statements whether they feel that the interest rate projection is likely to change. So that normally takes a few days. We haven't had that yet. We have been seeing a bit of an improvement in both our short and long-term interest rates, but fairly marginal, certainly not at the pace that we were originally thinking maybe a year or so ago. And we've seen in terms of that general UK health economy that the growth forecasts have been reduced for the current year, although the longer term prospects seem to be a bit better. So I don't have a clear answer at this point in time, but what I would expect is for our advisors to give us an update on what they think the interest rate movement is likely to be as a result of how markets are feeling about the various announcements that have been.
Councillor Spears.
Thank you. The Chancellor of the Exchequer said yesterday in her spring statement that the losses to welfare benefits, which will greatly affect us, not just here in Grangemouth, but in Falkirk District, considering that most children in child poverty have a disabled parent. Are we putting any actions in place to try and alleviate that problem, or do we just have to wait and see what our advisors tell us?
Thank you, Convener. Convener, Councillor Spears, we've already got quite a wide number of actions in place to support child poverty, and you'll recall the Executive agreed an income maximisation strategy for implementation. There is a report due back on that later this year. Part of the focus of that was also around child poverty, so members will get an update on that at that point in time.
We are indeed in difficult times, and I would call for this council to form a more unified approach, because we're all in the same boat, and one side rowing one way and one side rowing the other way will not make this boat go forward. So I would advise council, especially with the highlights coming out for the new president in America, which will affect greatly our ability to sell abroad, that we need to seriously look at how we can take the council forward in these difficult times.
Thanks, Councillor Spears, and I'm sure that Salji and Mrs Templeton will keep the council abreast of anything that comes out of any other statements going forward. Is there any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Bundy.
Thanks, Bailey Kerr. Just a quick question. Will elected members get sent the updated projections regarding borrowing costs?
Those updates in terms of borrowing costs usually form part of our projection report, and then they also form part of the financial strategy. So every 6 months when we do the update of the 5-year financial gap, we will update the borrowing costs within that. And then we also, as I say, as part of our sort of quarterly financial projection for the year, we'll be updating the borrowing costs for 25-26. And then executive will also get the interim Treasury Management report, which will also show any updates to interest rate projections as well.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Mr Templeton. Any other questions? No. Councillor Michael John.
Thank you, convener. I think over the last 2 years that our Treasury Management has served us well, and the advisors have guided us as best they can in a very sort of volatile market. What we're hearing is while there is a need for some element of stability and certainty, and that there may be potential for that to happen, that's not any certain at all, and therefore we could continue with a volatile market. And that makes it very challenging for us around our own need for financial stability and growth, in particular, and the investment that we need to make. So we're able to take our capital and invest that wisely, knowing we have a bit of certainty, because we continually see where projects are overrunning financially, and that's always a risk to the councils. However, I think the regular updates that we get, and I thank officers for finally getting this only to come in front of us once, that it doesn't have to go to the executive and to council. So that is really helpful to do that, but it also helps to set aside along some of the other strategies around our capital strategy and our financial, wider financial strategy, as that suite of documents that keep us on the straight and narrow. Note that within the report that there are some minor changes, one being in the upper limit for borrowing in year 2 to 5 range has been increased, therefore giving us a little bit more flexibility and able to actually have a bit of certainty about managing projects. I think it's going to be hugely important that there's always a contingency factored into our borrowing plans, and that should enable us to get through certainly the next year in a good stead. But I think we need to keep very much a watching brief on this, and I'm sure each of the financial reports that we get through the executive will have reference to the Treasury Management strategy and managing of our finances throughout the year, and looking at the financial markets as it's projected in the longer term. But I'm happy to review the report and just thank officers for the work they've done in putting into pulling this together on a repeated basis in such a volatile and changing market.
Thank you, Councillor Michael John. We'll get a seconder.
Happy second.
Thank you, Councillor Bowes. As there is no amendment or motion, I'll just go to group leaders for Any comments, Councillor Hannah?
No further comment.
Councillor Spears?
No further comments other than that I've already made.
Thank you. Is any of the other independent councillors any? No. Thank you. Move on to agenda item 6. Membership of.
Daily Care, I was just wondering if I could have your indulgence for maybe 5-10 minutes. A very close colleague, not from Falkirk, has passed away, and it was very close friends. I just wonder if we could take a couple of minutes, if you wouldn't mind.
We're back at 30:30.
That's fine.
Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We'll continue on behalf of myself, and I know it's has been a difficult 10 minutes for some colleagues to my right, and wishes go to everybody involved in the circumstances. So agenda item 6, council membership. The report is taken as read. There's no amendments, no motions, no amendments to the motion. There'll be no debate. Is there any questions at this time? Councillor Spears.
Obviously, we wish Deputy Provost Balfour speedy recovery and hope that things go well for him. Also, Councillor Robertson and Councillor Ritchie. Councillors are not immune from illnesses and the vagaries of normal life. And at this time, I think we should show, as I'm sure we will, solidarity in wishing them speedy recoveries.
Thanks, Councillor Spears. It was questions. I would give you an opportunity when, as a group leader, to do that. So you'll no need to do that when it comes around.
My earphones are too loud. I'm not picking up. But thank you, whoever donated the earphones. They're a great improvement.
Is there any other questions? No other questions. Councillor Meikle-John.
Thank you, Daily Care. Obviously, Councillor Spears has just commented that councillors, none of us are immune from illness, and long-term serious illness can be even more challenging, particularly to recover from. Therefore, I would welcome the opportunity to give an extension again to Councillor Balfour, as we did for Councillor Robertson, just to give that little bit of extra time to see how his recovery goes, and I hope that he'll be able to be back with us very soon. So I hope others would be able to support that.
Thank you, Councillor Meikle-John. A seconder for that?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Sinclair. Can I just say that it just shows how far this council has came, because a few years ago, I don't think that would have happened. So I just feel we're moving in the right direction. So, Councillor Hannah, any comments?
Thank you, convener. Just to wish Deputy Balfour a very speedy recovery, and since we're in that zone, the other councillors who are unwell and unable to be with us, including the Provost and Councillor Robertson, Councillor Ritchie, wishing all a very speedy recovery and that they are soon able to come back and be with us.
Thanks, Councillor Hannah. Councillor Spears.
I think I've already made a deliberation on this. We need to remember, and the public need to remember, that we're only human, and we need to stand by each other as human beings first, rather than as elected members.
Thank you, Councillor Spears. Any other independent councillor anything to say? No. We agree with the report? Thank you. Go to agenda item 7, appointments. Once again, take the report as been read. Any questions on this item? No questions. I'll go over to Mr. Moody.
Thank you, convener. And there are 2 appointments to be made. First of all, to the place for the SNP group and the place for the Labour group is open to the sitting members to be reappointed, although they've come to the end of their formal term. So the first question is just the nominations from those 2 groups for the places on the IGP.
Thank you, Bailey Kern. Thank you, Mr. Moody. I would propose certainly from my own group, Councillor Colley, to continue. And I don't know whether you wish to, further nominations in relation to the Vice Chair or whether you want to take those separately.
We'll take that separately. We'll go to
Okay,
the
you.
2 nominations first, then we'll go to the Vice Chair. A seconder for Councillor Colley.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Devine. And for the Labour nomination?
I'll nominate myself. There's so much interest from my colleagues that they can't even be bothered.
Thank you, Councillor Hannah. Got a seconder for that?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. So, the Councillor Colley and Councillor Hannah are both been re-elected onto the IJB. I'm sure their experience will be valuable to integrated joint board. So, Mr. Moody, for the second part.
Second part, convener, is to seek nominations for the role of Vice Chair of the IGB.
Nominations, Councillor Meikle-John.
Thank you, Bailey Kerr. I would wish to nominate Councillor Colley. I think at this point in the council term, I think that it's important to have an element of continuity within the leadership of the IJB, and she comes with a huge amount of history. I say that knowing the very difficult situation that the IJB is in, as is many others across the country, and the need for that transformation. And when we look at some of the requirements around the financial management, I think having that history and the strength and knowledge behind her would stand in good stead around the management of the IJB. Therefore,
Thank you, Councillor Meikle-John. Councillor Garner.
Thank you, Bailey Kerr. Happy to second my ward colleague.
Is there any other nominations? Agree, Councillor Colley?
Agreed.
Thank you, colleagues. Agenda item 8, the programme of meetings. Take the report as read. Since there are no amendments, there'll be no debate. Questions to officers regarding the list of meetings for probably to the end of the term, the end of the administration. Councillor Meikle-John.
It's the perennial question, and I understand that probably Carly, Jim and Brian will cringe when I ask this, but have we done the ability to cross-reference with some of our partner organisations, such as the Community Planning Partnership, the Health Board and other externals, to see if we can avoid clashes of meetings? And I know that is a huge task, but it's one that all of a sudden starts to become more challenging, particularly for members' diaries, and having to choose which meeting to actually attend.
A very pertinent question, Councillor Meikle-John. Mr Perry.
That falls to me. Yes, for some of the partners and other ones, once the dates are agreed, because we're early in the cycle, some of the other partners agree their dates towards the end of the year. We can inform them of the dates that we have and ask them to keep these dates free of their meetings. So we are attempting to avoid some clashes.
Thank you for that. That's really helpful.
Any other, Councillor Spears?
Thank you, Bailey Kerr. We do a tremendous amount of briefings as well, as some of these being factored in, because some of the briefings are just days before meetings, and to make deliberations you need firstly agendas on time, minutes on time, and briefing notes on time. And briefings are becoming a greater part of our workload. So are these being factored in, and can we have specific dates and times, like Monday could be briefing day, so we can arrange our diaries, because you know a day's notice of a briefing is very difficult for sometimes to put in.
Fair point, Councillor Spears. Mr Perry?
Thanks for the question. As Councillor Spears correctly points out, the agendas are always issued in time, so that's one thing that's certain. Yes, the reports shows that we're following from the programme last time, which was scrutiny committees on a Tuesday, regulatory committees on a Wednesday, council executive on a Thursday, which leaves Mondays as the main day for briefings, and we'll always try and accommodate that. It depends what other things are in the diary. It depends on the notice we get, but we do try and manage the briefings so that we're not giving members short notice or putting dates when there's other commitments. So we aim for Monday as the main briefing day.
So are we deciding today to set aside Monday afternoons for briefings, or?
Not implicitly, that's not in the report, but that's how we will take it forward. And that is what we've been doing recently. There's been an increasing number of briefings at the request of members ahead of council and executive meetings, which means they can't all be factored in on Monday. So we have to use free dates when available. We always try and use the Mondays first. There's only a limited period between the agenda going out and the meeting date, scheduled meetings, but we'll do our best to do that.
For the fast-flowing dynamic of councils in this day and age, I appreciate there's a lot of different things come up at the last minute, and briefings are essential, because we have to make big decisions and also bear the brunt of the community. So we need to be well briefed, and obviously we have very, very busy diaries. So if we can try and make them for a specific day, then we know to keep that day. I mean, it's called work together, and let's hope that this goes forward.
Thank you, Councillor Spears. And it's a valid point, and I'm sure Mr Perry is taking on board. And nobody in here needs to be reminded how busy these times are. So your point's taken. So any other questions for officers? No. Councillor Meikle-John?
Thank you, Bailey Kerr. I think the report's very self-explanatory. I think having that longer term view of dates, I think is really helpful. Might help people plan their holidays, their time off better, so we don't miss meetings. But yeah, it does give that opportunity to plan, and it gives us something we can get into our diaries between now and the end of the council term. And I'm sure it would be helpful for officers in planning and managing the workload of the various executives and council and scrutiny panels, as well as the other work that has to go on. So I'm happy to move the report.
Thank you, Councillor Meikle-John. Seconder for the motion?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner.
Just a comment on the statement. A lot of us, when we're on holiday, still attend meetings via the internet and on Zoom. So to say that we can plan better and not to miss meetings isn't quite true.
Councillor Spears, the motion's been done. Thank you. Is there agreement with the motion?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, the volume of minutes and information bulletin. Number 8, the volume of minutes, volume 3, 24-25. Is there any questions on the minutes? Can we have an agreement?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. B, information bulletin, volume 3, 24-25. Any questions on the information bulletin? No questions? Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
He's got an important
Uh,
appointment.
That concludes today's meeting, and thank you very much for your cooperation. I wished other meetings would go as quick, but thank you very much. And our next scheduled meeting is full council 26th of June at 10 AM in here. Thank you, colleagues.
Thanks to the chair.
Thank you.